Is it a PE live? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil Live. I'm Mike King. I'm here with Skylar from the back office, and it has been a roller coaster day. Not only have we been up at the lake all day long on the Lloyd Reese and David Yaramillo missing persons case, and I hope you'll go back and look at what we've been doing with Adventures with Purpose and the things that are going on. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. We're going to raise a vehicle that we located in the dam today. And for those of you who live in Utah and you want to come to East Canyon Reservoir at 1 o'clock, we're going to be surfacing the vehicle. If hopefully we will know whether we have a body inside of it or not, and then the sheriff will take over if there is a body. If not, we'll load it onto the Diesel Brothers vehicle and they'll haul it off. But quite a day, huh, Skylar?
Yeah, I'm gonna let's we got a special guest joining us right now, so
perfect.
Let's get her in here so she can get on her way.
So, folks, we wanted to bring Lauren Scharf in, and we wanted to just get a sense, Lauren. We've been busy out on a lake, but you've been busy in a courtroom, and we tried to follow your tweets today and keep on top of what was happening in the Barry Morphew day 2 of his preliminary hearing. But why don't you fill us in on what's going on?
Oh, wow. It was a long 2 days, and there's still going to be 2 more days at the end of August 23rd and 24th that, Barry will be, see a judge on those days for some more, evidence to be presented and more witnesses. There was only 3 witnesses that took the stand, and they were all investigators. First was Commander Andrew Walker, and then Alexander Walker, and then also it was 2 FBI agents, Kenneth Harris as well as Johnny. And they spoke about data from Barry Morphew's truck as well as cell phone data as well. Sorry, I don't know if you said a question or anything.
No, you just.
We're driving right now through Salida. We're on our way back to Colorado Springs. So if I have some difficulty with the service, that is why. We're on our way home.
Well, and maybe, Lauren, just even turn off your camera and we'll just try to use what bandwidth we can to get your voice, because you are frozen on this end anyway. Yeah, you've had a busy couple of days. What was the big ahas that happened today most particularly?
Oh, I think the biggest aha moment, and even the defense got pretty angry about when the state presented evidence of search history of Barry Morphew's computer or something like that, of when he searched. He was looking at dating websites. One was Celeb Jihad, and the other was Ashley Madison. And that was really, Barry sat up in his seat, and he, was kind of showing that he was upset about that they were bringing this, that he was searching online for cute girls in Salida and things like that. But the day before, we heard about, Suzanne's alleged, affair that had been going on for a year and a half with a guy from Michigan who they went to high school together in Indiana but they met up 7 times in 6 different locations. And so, but the defense really was not happy that, the state brought the fact of the search.
Yeah, so we lost you for that last 5 seconds, but I think we got the sense of what was going on. How impactful was it today when they started talking about the timeline, the phone going into airplane mode and not, and the different stops at the different dumpsters?
Yeah, I mean, we got to actually see the surveillance video of some of the places that he had stopped and pushed trash, like in the very bottom of trash cans. That was really interesting. And then also just like pictures of, him walking in and out of the hotel room wearing different clothes and carrying different items and bringing items to the dumpsters. And, they described what they could see of the items. It was really interesting.
Yeah. Was there a big deal made out of the fact that in Broomfield he went to the adjacent city and was working on Sunday when it's against the law to work on Sunday on government projects?
Hey, Mike, I'm losing you.
Well, you know what, Lauren, let's get you back.
I'll have to chat later.
Yeah, you travel safely, and thanks for stepping in. I know everyone's thrilled when they see you jump in, and we'll plan on talking to you in the next couple of weeks about this and follow up more on it. And it looks like we've lost Lauren there, Skylar. So
yeah, that's okay.
Hey, and I want to just shout out to everybody that jumped in. Thank you so much for joining us on such short notice. Again, it's been an incredibly busy day, and we didn't want to miss a discussion and maybe answer some questions, Skylar. I don't know.
Yeah, let's if everybody watching would like, we can treat this as another Ask Mike Anything. Like Mike said, we were on the lake a lot of the day and tried to catch up with Lauren's tweets as much as we could. But again, Ask Mike Anything. There were a lot of questions that weren't answered last night that you guys had. And so, let's go for it. So I guess the question of the day that I think we all want to know.
I guess the challenge I've got, Ann, with this question of could Suzanne be alive is, could you imagine her not having contact with her family, knowing that they are traumatized by the fact that she's missing, or her children? There may be 1,001 reasons why she may not want Barry to know where she is, but I just do not believe for a moment that she's alive and that she would have gone a year and now 3 months, 4 months not reaching out to family.
Yeah. So Rose wants to know if it's over and she's going home. I think she's referring to Lauren, which she is going home for the night, but she is dedicated and she will be back.
Yeah, it's halfway over, folks. If you remember, the dates for this preliminary hearing were yesterday and today, and then the 23rd and the 24th. And then we hope after the 24th that the judge will rule that the arrest affidavit will be made public, that 129-page document that is talked about in court. And that's going to be a big deal when that comes out.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Rose. That's a great question.
So yes, she's headed home, but she will be back. She just didn't have a hotel room in Salida. Here we go. This is one that we don't get at. We've been focusing a lot on Suzanne, Morphew, and other cases. But what's your favorite baseball team?
Billy E. Well, I'm just going to have to remind Skylar, when he was a boy, I used to take him and his older brother, and we would fly to Chicago or other ballparks where the Chicago Cubs were playing because a friend of mine was pitching for them. And let's see, I think I took you to Texas or something, didn't I? And you got flashed by a woman in a car in front of us. Didn't she stand up and flash you? Yeah, that was
right, in a limousine.
Yeah, that's everything. Something every father wants his son to experience at 12 years old.
So a lot of people are asking about these apps. Not quite sure what Ashley Madison and what was the other one?
Dating site app websites. And Ashley Madison has been in the news, I think. Isn't that the one that was all the big stars in New York? And
they released all the names of people who had signed up for it or something like that. Some hackers.
Yeah, it could be because I use my work computer at times. There's no way I'm going to look them up and try to see what they are. So, but that's what I remember from the news.
None. I regret it, and I will use it tomorrow, Catherine. So. Yeah, I was in such a hurry leaving a meeting to get up there that I didn't even think about it.
For those of you who didn't catch her earlier live, Skylar was up on the hill with a guy from the Bureau of Reclamation trying to keep him from shutting us down today. So he had a full-time duty while we're down in this restricted area trying to get some things done.
Do you think so, Candidly? Do you think the girls are still supporting Barry? I do know one of the girls wanted them to get a divorce.
Yeah, I saw that too. That it was socialized and even talked about in court. That one of the girls suggested that she consider divorce and even a restraining order, if I remember reading that right. But yeah, I think they still support their dad. I think they were sitting with their grandmother, from what I read in some of the reports, which is Barry's mother, in the courtroom. And I mean, think about it. These kids have lost their mother and they're losing their father. This isn't their battle. Those kids should have moms and dads.
Yeah. So it's hard to think about, but could he have dismembered her and disposed her in a bunch of different dumpsters?
I mean, let's talk possibilities. Absolutely, Megan. I mean, you just think, why is he going to multiple locations? But the thing we have to keep in mind is that over and again in that trial, the defense and the prosecution brought out that there was no blood residue in the home or in the vehicle. So they've not recovered any of Suzanne's blood. So if something like that were to occur, it would have had to have been off site. And that's a pretty magical thing to avoid having any kind of transfer of DNA if he's transporting the body in some bags or something.
AKSAS. Mike, what's your thoughts on the tranquilizers that Barry admitted to using, and how do you believe those may play into the murder?
You know, the interesting thing is, we know that Barry was a sportsman. We also know, from what I've heard through other folks, is that at one point they used those tranquilizing darts in Indiana for a ranch that was raising wild game. The interesting thing was that was recovered in the washing machine or the dryer, and it certainly makes you wonder if there's a possibility of because obviously, if in fact all of these allegations are true, he would have to get control of Suzanne, and tranquilizing would be a great way to do it.
So one question that came in while I looked for some more case-related questions was BYU or Utah?
Weber State.
There you go. Weber State.
Hey, you know, I want to add one thing though on that previous question, Skylar, and that was, there also was testimony that Suzanne was drugged in the house. And so I don't know what all that means and how it plays in, and haven't had time to look into it. But K-Cat, we love Annie Elise. We join her show often. She was on last night with us here. Well, not on. We were communicating back and forth, and she's just such a brilliant person. Just really fun to see what she has to say.
Excuse me. What are your thoughts about the trash runs?
Yeah. Hi, Elizabeth. I think that really goes back to that same question of what on earth would be the reasons. Now, I mean, some people, if they're getting rid of something like hazardous waste chemicals from a job site, and I'm just being devil's advocate here, some people will go to multiple trash containers to get rid of small amounts of things and move them around. But I mean, we all look at what criminals do, and that certainly is a good and interesting possibility. Somebody asked a minute ago, I saw a flyby, do I think, oh, here it is, Jamie, Texas chick. Yeah, I think this will go to trial. I think that they'll get through the hearing. The judge will find there's evidence to bind him over. The interesting thing is, would there be a negotiation just prior to trial that would get something different? I don't know about that. But again, think about Linda Stanley she's got a lot of charges and she is focused. And so I suspect this will go to trial.
You said there was a question that you were...
Oh, no, it came up. Texas Chick had it. That was the one you actually popped it up. I saw it flying by. So,
okay. So Mom and I thriving with Brandy Sorensen. So what was said about the tranquilizer besides the cap in the dryer?
Well, nothing specifically about the tranquilizer, Mom and I thriving. What was said, and I'm just the investigator in me is kind of putting pieces together, is that tranquilizer was in the dryer. And thanks for clarifying that, because I couldn't remember if it was the washing machine or dryer. But there was also some other testimony or a text message that talked about Suzanne being drugged, whether it was just some medication she was taking normally and she was getting a little sedated or not. And I just found that an interesting comparison. So I'm not speculating beyond that.
Okay, so why were the hearings split? And real quick, everyone, I'm trying to get to as many as I can. I will give priority to the super chats that come in, but there are a lot of questions coming through right now, so I'm sorry if I don't get to yours.
Yeah, the super chats are great. I mean, we love having a little extra money to help in the things we do, folks. But more importantly, it changes the color on the screen and makes it a lot easier for us to see them pop out amongst all of the other things that are coming up. The hearings, I think, are split just fundamentally because the judge didn't have room on his calendar. Again, think about the fact we're coming back from post-pandemic. Maybe we're getting back into another pandemic swing, but the judge's calendar is just slammed after all those months of things not happening. So that's why this thing was spread out like it was. And if you remember, just a few days before the trial, when the defense said, we don't have enough time, the judge said, great, I can look into November. And they said, no, we don't want Barry in jail that long. And I think their hope is that somehow this thing will end and he'll be released.
What do you think about alkaline hydrolysis?
You know, Margaret, that's really interesting. And this is one that maybe folks you can just look up on your own. I don't know that I'm like prepared to talk about that, especially tonight, other than I have seen some of the dialogue around that. So go do some digging. Yeah, you stumped the dummy on that one.
Carla says it didn't have to be off site, Mike. He could have strangled her or drowned her. I know there was no blood in the house, but other things could have happened.
Absolutely, Carla. And I think if you think back to the question, the thing that made the question interesting was it was in line with all of the different bags being dropped and the assumption that maybe those had body parts in them going to different locations. So that's kind of what that was. But you're right on target. You know, who knows what this, how this could have happened in this alleged murder.
So, not even Sherry, Suzanne's best friend, knew of the affair, correct?
Yeah. So Canna Brand Buzz, this is where hopefully if you get a chance, listen to last night. I won't go into it tonight because I think I get too long-winded, but I talked about private, public, and secret personas. And this was one of those things that just happened to be, I think, a secret part of persona there.
So Rosie Rose, thank you, says, I agree, Linda is a powerful DA. However, the evidence has been so weak. Thoughts?
Gosh, that's interesting, Rosie Rose. I don't know that I personally think it's been weak because, again, the idea of a preliminary hearing is just to put on just enough to get the judge to say, yeah, I believe there's probable cause to carry this over to a trial. So you don't want to show your whole stack of cards. You want to show just enough to get a judge to say, yeah, I can buy with Barry going to multiple garbage cans, to the fact that he's turning his cell phone off, that his Cellbrite information, his phone information, all of those things tell me that there was something nefarious going on, and I think we need to go to trial and hear it all. And so that's really what this is all about now. It's not about hearing all the evidence. So I hope that helps.
Will Barry be eligible for bail after this week?
Boy, interesting. So who knows what the judge may do when this is all. I think not this week. I think we got to wait till the end of August so that the judge can rule on whether he's even going to bind Barry over for trial. And if he does not, then Barry's free and he goes home and goes back on the homicide charge. But we haven't even heard about the other 6 charges that he's charged with. So don't forget that in the mix of things, folks. But if he's bound over, then the judge could say, yeah, we're going to let him go on his own recognizance, or we're going to put bail on him, or whatever the case may be.
Here's something that's been circulating a little bit. Is there any truth to is it Judge Murphy? Is that right?
Yeah.
Judge Murphy and the Morphews knowing each other.
I have no idea other than it's a small town, and who knows? I mean, if you think back on the Zion Society case, Arvin Shreve, who ultimately went to prison, knew every single judge and every politician because he was the landscaper of the municipal gardens. So, it doesn't necessarily mean there's a past, but it's a small town. So that's interesting, Rosie. Thanks.
This is a good point of conversation. Amber would like to know, or says, it would be nice if the case was open to the media and press. Do you think this will ever happen?
This goes back, if you watch my earlier video right before this thing went to prelim on Monday, the question about, did the judge rule that COVID has now changed, and now that we're in actual trials, preliminary hearing or the trial, that we have a greater responsibility to protect the accused rights. So we don't want to have this out, which I don't know why it makes a difference between that and whether we might be getting misinformation from people reporting, and we talked about that last night, or if the judge used that as an excuse, or if when he said, hey, because all these social media people violated my rules beforehand, I'm not going to allow it now. I just don't know. But those are both really strong things to think about.
Right. Starry Nights, could he be at a bus stop dropping off a co-conspirator?
We know that there are lots of people in his life that work for him, and so all of those are great possibilities. Starry Nights, I don't know, but the question is, what's interesting to me is, why is he stopping at a dumpster at a bus stop? Why is he stopping at a dumpster at a Men's Warehouse? Why is he stopping at the dumpster at the hotel? But sometimes I stop and just dump all the garbage from what I've been snacking on while I'm driving. So who knows? I mean, I try to always be the devil's advocate to myself. You know what, candidly, I think the judge has such pressure on him to release that, and he's now going to be out of excuses that he's trying to protect the family or anything else with the prelim. Some of the information will be moot at this point because we've heard it through the prelim in the next 2 days that are coming, and the 2 that we've just gone through. I think he'll release it.
Any reasoning from Barry for the Trink?
I can't. I have some theories, and I think memories of some things that were public information about this wild animal ranch in Indiana, but I'm going to just leave it at that. So I don't know.
Here's a pretty interesting one. Caroline, you've been around for a while, so we appreciate this question. So sorry if I'm bugging you, but are the 5 trash runs what you were referring to when you talked about the number 5 in previous videos? That was almost a year ago.
Caroline, thank you. You have been around a long time. And isn't that interesting? Thank you so much for that donation. And thank you for that question. What a great question. And send me an email.
Okay. In the preliminary hearing, do they have to disclose all the evidence from the state?
No, they have to disclose everything in discovery, so the defense knows all of the stuff that the state knows at that time. But again, think about this preliminary hearing is, I'm going to just give the judge just enough that I'm sure he's going to say, we're going to bind Barry over for trial. But I don't want to show all my cards because maybe I'm still investigating some things, or maybe some things are coming together. So no, they don't have to show everything.
Again, thank you for using first names only here. Do you think Jeff will be called to the stand?
I think he absolutely will be. And again, thank you, Donna, for first name only. Again, can you imagine what his family is going through too, as they grapple with everything that's going on?
K-Cat, this messes again with my germophobia, but was the hotel room ever searched for Suzanne Morphew's DNA? I know hotels are crazy to search.
I don't know. That information came a little later. There were posts online that law enforcement wasn't checking the hotel room in a timely enough manner. And frankly, I just don't know the answer to that, but I haven't seen anything publicly to say that that stuff was collected. The towels and stuff probably were picked up by the room service and washed. So I don't know. That's a great question, K-Cap.
Hey, Mimi, is there truth to the fact that the girls have read the entire affidavit?
You know what, Mimi J2, I don't know. And thanks for all the support you've given us over the last year and a few months. Really appreciate that. It would only make sense that they have, because you can plan on the fact that the defense has the arrest affidavit and may have made that available to them. But keep in mind that what we do know from just a couple of days ago is that the state argued that even today, Suzanne's brother, Andy, Melinda, Tommy, none of them have been able to see the affidavit. So that would have to come through the defense. But the state made it very clear that Suzanne's family has not seen the affidavit.
I just had a question. Oh, here we go. Is this still is there still an ongoing investigation?
Yeah, thanks, Patty. Absolutely. This will go through and probably continue in the trial as more and more information comes out. Yeah.
Great. Have they checked the wild animal place, or is that out of the timeline?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Again, we don't know what all the cards are that they're holding. And Nancy, I love the question, because it's something that, we all want to know so many different things. And we know that these officers have handled some, I think, 1,400 tips and leads they talked about in the trial. Or in the hearing. So thanks. I don't know. And you all are so nice to take time on a late night like this. Thanks so much for joining up with us.
Yes, and please know, everybody, we are doing an Ask Mike Anything. It's a crazy week for us. We're doing a search with Adventures with Purpose right now, an active search that we'll be back at tomorrow. And we've got the trial going on for the Morphew case. So it's incredibly busy, but we want to make sure you get your answer, or the answers to your questions. So please feel free to ask any types of questions. Doesn't have to be Morphew related. But we will try to focus on those. So do you think Suzanne will eventually be found?
Well, I sure hope so. I mean, we see every day news of people stumbling across remains, and wouldn't that be something? Right now, we're looking at a 36-year-old case that we're working with Adventures with Purpose, and we hope tomorrow that when we raise this car off the bottom of the lake, that we find remains in the car. But who knows?
And please give me some recommendations for good sunscreen that you all trust. Half Rudder, thank you so much. What do you think about Barry's car showing activity after 3 a.m. on May 10th?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? In fact, it is just so cool to see the forensics. Amazing that in the vehicle we can tell the direction a vehicle was going, how many feet it went, everything that's available. And that's when this goes to trial, we'll really see something. Now, if he pleads to something, we may never know the answers to these questions. So that's kind of the cool part about when things actually make it to trial.
Yeah. Let's see. Jennifer Hale, do you think law enforcement has looked at any property in Indiana?
Hi, Jennifer. I think that we can rest assured, because we do know from public reports that the sheriff's office in Chaffee County was in Indiana. So I would think they probably have included that in their investigation.
Great. Oh, almost misclicked there. Let's see. Oh, gosh, come on. Chat's moving a little quick for me right now. Sorry. Do you think Jeff's family were only made aware of this yesterday, or would they have been given prior warning? That's a great question.
So the idea goes back to about 6 months into the investigation. If I remember the report correctly, they discover who this guy was. And I don't know if they gave him time to let his family know. What we do know from testimony that came out in court is that the daughter was ordering a pizza on her dad's phone, and on Jeff's phone, she discovered that he was having an affair, and she told other family members. So whether he had the opportunity to step up and tell the family first, or at least his wife, or it came out later, I don't know. And I don't know the timeline.
So they said that he had been walking around outside in a pattern. Could he have been sprinkling weed or ant killer?
This is really interesting because I've done a lot of work with mobile phone location, and as part of my profession, and depending on whether they're looking at the device location, the little XY coordinate inside the mobile device, or they're getting the triangulated location off of the towers, it can show some pretty wild patterns. And so I just don't know enough about what was testified to there to make a point out of that. But you can go back and see one of our earlier videos where we talk about cell phone triangulation and device data and how tricky that can be to manipulate and understand.
I am in Indiana. Where's he from? I don't know that we'll talk about. Yeah, I don't know if we'll answer that.
Hey, John, if you go back, we actually did a video on Barry, and we go right to his home. It was in Alexandria, and so we talk about that. We talk about his school. We talk about his growing up years. So go back and watch that video, because we actually got a lot of very complimentary notes from people who grew up with Barry, that it was fair and unbiased and pretty informational.
So Tyler would like to know, if the judge determines there is insufficient evidence to proceed with the trial, will the arrest affidavit still be released?
I would think not, Tyler, but you never know what might leak out some way or another. So yeah, well, that's a really good question.
Oh man, sorry everybody. Mimi, thank you again. Remember Suzanne's alleged friend requests to Mel's in Indiana? I do remember that.
Yeah.
I believe it was Barry trying to get Jeff's goat. Oh, so I think he already knew.
That's interesting, Mimi, J2, because we know from Andy that Andy his friends received some interesting friend requests that were out of character for Suzanne on the night of the 9th and into the early morning hours of the 10th, I believe. We'd have to go back and listen to Andy's testimony on Profiling Evil. But that period of time, we know that there was some strange behavior going on. Now, we heard testimony today and yesterday that suggested that Jeff did not believe Barry knew who he was. He feared that if Barry knew that he would come and beat him up. And so I just don't know the answer to that. Really interesting question, but nothing that I can remember offhand.
So Mama Bear, thank you so much. Any chance he destroyed her body with a wood chipper somewhere due to his occupation? I know that is bad to think, but that would make sense.
Well, so yeah, it makes me want to ask if Mama Bear lives up in the north from Fargo when that show came out. I think that there would be a lot of DNA evidence if that were the case, Mama Bear. Who knows, though? I mean, this thing is like, we don't know how Suzanne died. I really believe she did die, and we haven't seen any evidence to kind of make some decisions that way.
Carolyn Johnson received She Knew No Fear yesterday, spending the week at the lake, and can't wait to read it tomorrow.
Ooh,
and channel your guests.
Hey, I'm gonna take advantage of that, folks. My new book, She Knew No Fear. This is about a 130-year-old murder investigation. Happened to be my great-great-grandmother who was murdered on July 24th, 1891. And this is the story about how, after a 10-year investigation, we were able to solve that murder. And actually, the lake that we are up at right now with this big search was part of the trail she walked through. In fact, the docks that we were on today were exactly where the trail was as they came from Wyoming down into Utah. So anyway, hope you'll all support us and pick up that book. You can get it at Amazon, or you can get a hardbound signed copy on Profiling Evil.
So Caroline comes back and says, how hard will it be with no body?
Yeah, I just keep going back to Carolina report that was on Court TV a few months ago, that since in the last 100 years, there have been more than 500 circumstantial murder convictions. This is a circumstantial case. The DA made it very clear when they charged Barry Morphew that she wouldn't have charged if she didn't believe she could win the case. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Okay. We've talked about this early, but we've been live for about a half hour, so I'm sure we have some newcomers that haven't heard any answers to this. But do you think Barry overdosed her on an animal tranquilizer?
Boy, this is an interesting question, folks, and I go back to I have no idea, other than we know that tranquilizer cap was found in the dryer or washing machine, and one of our PE family members said dryer, so I'm going to take that at its face value. But we also know, because I remember reading that it came out in court that there was a text message or something where she was under the influence of some kind of a sedative. So that's a really interesting thing. And Skylar, I hope it's okay. Right now is a great time just to say, folks, we would love it if you would sub to our channel. So please take a moment, hit the subscribe and ring the bell so you get all our notifications and stuff.
Absolutely. So how do you get the hardbound copy of your book? So that's on our website, profilingevil.com. We should still have signed copies available. And so you can go there, and then through Amazon is just the paperback. So if you want the hardbound autograph version, whatever, that's through our website. So profilingevil.com. It's in the description below, so you can get all the information there and the links there.
Thanks for asking, Elizabeth.
Yes. April, thank you. So what are the chances they find evidence at the landfill, or has it even been checked?
Boy, I just don't know, April. I mean, again, possibilities are huge. And gosh, every year we see cases where bodies are discovered in the landfill. But now think about the fact this is now 15 months in. So that would have to be somebody stumbling across it, because you're not going to go back and find the day that garbage truck dumped in that particular location.
Carrie would like to know, would the daughters be informed by the defense team what their strategy is?
But very well could know, although this is one crack team. I mean, these Eiten and Nielsen are top drawer when it comes to strategy. So how they are going to do this, it'll be really interesting to watch unfold. Hey,
Jennifer Hell, thank you. Catherine, sunscreen sponsor, CeraVe Mineral Sunscreen, 50 SPF. Okay, I'll look for it. But it makes my teeth look whiter when my face is red, so that's good. Okay, let's see here. High backbone. The evidence seems to be circumstantial, and this guy Jeff not coming forward sounds weird.
Hey, High backbone. He said in court testimony, it said that Jeff indicated that he didn't come forward because he wanted to protect the Morphew children. A little pressing. He wanted to protect himself and not be a part of this. He actually made attempts to delete accounts and other kinds of things. So, and there's no question, this is a circumstantial case. So, yeah, you're right on. The evidence is circumstantial.
So is it a rural thing to kill off chipmunks? 85 chipmunks he claimed to have killed off. Is that normal in rural America?
Oh, Nita, I don't know what country you're from, but I know up at our cabin, we love the little chipmunks to come around. So I don't know how to even respond to that.
Meaning we don't shoot them.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that. Sometimes, obviously, I need some real clarification from time to time. No, we love to sprinkle out a little bit of seed, and in fact, I know the squirrels in my backyard because I go through 50-pound bags of seed that my wife puts out on a regular basis, and that seed's really expensive.
So maybe assuming he gets bail, do you think he would run?
So that's going to be a question for the judge to consider and the defense to argue of whether they think he's a flight risk. haunted Maggie. If I said that last name right, Mage. Okay. The question really is interesting. I just don't know. I know that I go back in my mind thinking about the animal hunts that he loved to do in on the African continent and in the South American continent, and actually throughout Mexico and other places. So you always wonder if something like that is a risk.
Yeah, let's change it up just a hair. Mike, what is the worst crime scene you've ever been to? And we'll ask you to keep it short because we got other questions.
I've been to crime scenes where there are horrendous victims that are horrendously, brutally mutilated, and those things you never get out of your mind.
I do remember a story when we were in a youth group for church and we went to go to a doctor's office and they were talking about the worst smell in the world is when you're doing surgery on somebody and you open up their stomach. The doctor was talking about that, and I remember Mike saying, try that, but one that's been in a car for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's
In the
true.
summer.
I can think of one man when we opened the trunk that had been baking for a few weeks. That was pretty bad. And anyway, there are lots of ugly ones. You think about your police officers and some of the things that they see, and then they try to cleanse from their mind.
And just give them some love because they do their best not to take it home to their families, and not all of them are as good as Mike was at it.
That's nice, Skyler. Thanks.
Okay, Luis
did go through, I heard, but I know that there was a little bit of a kick out there saying that maybe that person was withdrawing, but I haven't heard anything to the contrary. So, Luis, my understanding is the House cell went through, but that could be checked really easily by just looking up the Puma Path address with the county assessor.
Every time I'm on, somebody gets on here and says I have an uncanny resemblance to Josh Powell, and I'm not quite sure how I'm feeling about this. Every single time, I don't know if it's the same person, but I am not Josh Powell.
Behaviorally, he's not at all, by the way, folks.
Hopefully not. Okay, sorry, I had a couple questions that just jumped past everybody again. I'm sorry.
Luis, where are you calling from? That'd be fun to hear. So thanks.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to get to as many as I can. Everybody, again, the super chats glow nice and bright for us, and they stay up on our screen here in the back, so we can get those quicker. So if you really have one you want to do, make sure you do a super chat. But we'll get to as many. It's not required. We'll just get to as many as we can. So, Mike, what's your music?
Yeah, John. So I'm stuck in the mid '60s and all the way through the mid '70s, but. Like who didn't love the Doobie Brothers, or so.
So here's an interesting question: if they were to find Suzanne's body during court proceedings, would everything just be paused?
Gosh, that's really interesting. No, I don't believe so. I mean, they've got a trial date. I mean, they've got a prelim, and that would be new evidence that they would certainly try to get in if it was beneficial for the prosecution.
Mike, does Doug look like a lost Diesel brother in real life?
Yeah, aren't I like a goofus, Mr. and Mrs. Engineer? And for those of you I didn't have my glasses on last night. I knew that we were meeting the Diesel brothers, and Doug from Adventure with Travel walked into my room. I had bright lights in my eyes. He came around, sat down. And I thought, well, this has got to be one of the Diesel brothers. And he actually said today on the boat, he gets asked that all the time. So that's interesting.
Carrie MC, are you surprised it was stated the Bobcat was not used in the crime?
No, what I find interesting though is that when we were out there, and we would have to ask Tyler, who was on site, there were some interesting things that occurred around sites where that Bobcat was used and that the cadaver dogs alerted. But there was other equipment used in those places too. So no, I guess, I just hadn't really thought of it much.
Can Lauren comment on the daughters in court to us?
Great question, Annie or Ann Lane. We'll ask Lauren when we get her back on. She was in really bad cellular area, and so next time we get her on, please ask that question.
I'm looking at pictures of Josh Powell, and I do not look like Josh Powell. Two Jugs, thank you so much for becoming a member.
That is awesome. Thank you.
Okay, here's a good one. Oh, okay. We cannot hear me. Can you all hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear lots of thumping noise back there. But G. Dumaglung, yeah, I've been to just tons of countries. The job that I have, I work with every country in the world, and I've had the opportunity to travel through many of them. I don't even know how many, but it's been wonderful, and periodically my wife travels with me, so that's fun.
Do we think he will try to get the insanity plea?
Boy, that's interesting. Heat of passion is always an interesting thing. I don't know that he could say that he's mentally incompetent, John. So we'll have to watch that one with you and see how that rolls out. This is going to be interesting. Right now, what they're doing is approaching it that there's just no way he could have done that. Why can't he explain how the jar? I took this, Skylar, because I didn't know if you were going to solve a family problem there. Why can't they explain how the GPS system rebooted? Isn't that interesting what happened? We talked about that. Actually, Skylar and I were on the Diesel Brothers boat today, and I was just going through Lauren's tweets like crazy, and I hit that one about it, and I said, he reset the GPS system somehow. I don't know how that happens, and I don't understand it, but interesting how that happened. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay. Here's a good. When is Lori Valo due for her new evaluation?
So it should be coming up in about 30 days, if I remember right. And we've been following the Valo Daybell case really closely, as you all know. We'll continue to do that. She'll hit her first 90-day evaluation, I think, in about 30 days. If that point, if she's deemed incompetent still to stand trial, then the clock sets for 180 days. So she goes 6 months until the next time she would appear before the judge to prove whether she is or not.
Okay, let's see. Oh, here we go. I was looking for this question. With evidence of Barry being on the Ashley Madison, which is basically an affair website, a website to help coordinate affairs, for those of you who don't know, looking for an affair, will that change the case at all, or just a level playing field in a bit in regards to affairs?
You know, this whole thing, I tried to get this across yesterday, and I don't know that I did a very good job, Skylar, but this, whether Suzanne's having an affair or whether this allegation that Barry may have been looking at sites and looking for affairs, all of that is really craftily delivered noise and distraction from the elements of, did a murder occur and did the elements get met in the preliminary hearing? And they certainly have to be the aggravating factors that you talk about. Did they influence things? But I just want to keep going back to the fact that all of that aside, none of it, Suzanne having an affair, does not justify homicide. And yet it becomes so compelling to us all.
Yeah. And nor does he having an affair justify homicide either. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So absolutely. Let's jump. Meredithy.
Oh yeah, Mary Deathy Dilsey. Yeah.
Okay.
Dills.
What are chances these lawyers are going to get this thrown out?
You know what? They have been successful before, and that's the only thing I can say is these lawyers have been successful in getting charges reduced, portions of cases dropped, plea negotiations made, or charges dropped altogether. So is it possible? What the chances are, I have no idea what the chances really are, but certainly is a possibility and a risk in this case.
That's what they're trying for. So.
Yeah.
Canna Brambas, any further info on Barry's cocaine use?
I have not seen things public that I'm comfortable commenting on.
Good.
Thanks, Ken.
Brittany likes my headphones. They are Astro headphones. They are very annoying, and I will get smaller ones soon, but it's what I have. Okay. So GPS. Here we go. Oh, wow. Rochelle, thank you so much for Catherine Smith, her brother.
Folks, if you're not aware of Catherine Smith, 29-year-old mom who 2 months ago, after having a baby, returned to work in the Chicago Police Department. This is a police department I have been in many, many times. I've worked with them in their real-time crime center. Jonathan Lewin, former chief in the Chicago Police Department, is a regular guest host with us here on Profiling Evil. This is so heartbreaking and so senseless. The numbers of ambushes on police officers this year is going through the roof at a much higher level than other years. And it's just got to end. Yeah, thank you so much, Rochelle. Skylar, let's make sure we find a way to get that over to that family somehow. I'm sure something's set up. Yeah.
Yep, we'll do that. If anybody has a good link, I'm sure they have a GoFundMe or something out there. Please get it to us somehow.
Yeah, or let's just email Chief Lewin, because he would know the Benevolent Association, and that will get us right in.
So if this is thrown out, can he be tried again?
Yeah, I mean, if new evidence is brought forward, the challenge, if he went to trial and is acquitted, then it's done. But on some of these things too, I kind of yield to our buddy Scott Reich and Crime Talk, because I'm a cop, and then I leaned on lawyers, even liked some defense attorneys like Scott Reich.
What are the chances? So thank you, April. What are the chances she went underground as a new identity or witness protection? Not sure that's what it's called.
Yeah, April. I mean, I think that's certainly a possibility. But again, think about, would this mom walk away from her family and leave them in the turmoil that this thing has left them in? And it just doesn't seem probable.
I think something we love about all of our viewers is we don't just get stuck on one path and drive it home all the way through. I love how everyone keeps bringing different perspectives and making sure every stone's unturned.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, I had another, let's see, Luis Ballesteros. Regarding the trash runs, do you know if they discovered about them in time to collect evidence?
Yeah, I would bet not, because again, you think about that. He wasn't a suspect very quickly in this game. They were still trying to figure out if this was just a missing person or an accident. So probably lost a crucial window there.
Great. So is the trial going to be closed from public view?
So I would suspect that the same thing the judge has done here, he will do then. He will not publicly put it on WebEx. It will be in person. The interesting thing will be if the defense is able to get a change of venue, which might get them into a bigger court. But yeah, right now, 24 people, whether they're citizens or media, are all that are allowed in the courtroom physically, and another 40 to 50 in the Chaffee County fairgrounds.
Everybody, we're doing an Ask Mike Anything. We're going to wrap up here in a few minutes, probably 5 or 6 more minutes. We are doing a search early tomorrow morning again, and we want to make sure we can get to bed and have some energy for this.
Yeah.
So again, please get any questions that you have about anything. Doesn't have to be about the Morphew case or anything like that. Whatever you have, super chats will be jumped to the top of the queue, and I'm getting to as many as I can. I'm sorry if I can't get to yours. I know we offend some people every time we do this, but we're not ignoring you. I promise. I'm just not fast enough. Heidi would like to know, can a toxicology report be done with bone marrow, or does it absolutely have to be from flesh and blood?
No. In fact, that's part of what's happening in the Daybell case. So we don't know what happened with Tammy Daybell. Is even though she was embalmed and the fluids were exchanged for embalming fluid, there still are things in the muscle tissue and other places that information can be retrieved. And DNA is advancing so quickly. Today, one of the people we were with on the search was someone from Othram and David Middleton, who's been on our show, his group, and we were talking about DNA and the advances. So we just keep hoping some cool stuff keeps rolling out.
So Trish the Fish, any similarities between Barry Morphew and Larry Millette?
Interesting. Well, they both have missing wives, Trilish.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see how both of those cases, and we have really appreciated the chance we've had to come to know Maya Millette's sister and brother-in-law. We've had them on the show and just really appreciate them and the chance we have to work with Court TV on that case.
So Regal Rabbit would like to know, are you going live with Adventures with Purpose tomorrow? We are.
Yes.
So we will be going live probably a few times throughout the day. We'll go live on Instagram at one point, Facebook at one point, YouTube. So we're going to try to hit different options. And so everyone's aware, if you're in Utah at the East Canyon Reservoir in Utah, in Morgan County, we will be doing the search there. You are welcome to show up at the dock at 1 p.m. We will likely be very busy, but we'll try to say hi to some people as we're there. But just so you can see how cool it is to watch Jared and his team do what they do. It's if you haven't seen their videos, or if you have, come see it in person. It's even better. And I'll tell you, I didn't say this on the live with Jared just a little bit ago, but it's so funny how goofy that guy is. And then when he's on that boat with that sonar, he is just tunnel visioned into doing it. It's pretty cool. So sorry, kind of went off on a tangent there. Elizabeth Wheeler, how long does it take for phone data to get back to law enforcement? Thought I heard 30 to 60 days on the interview room. Seems like a long time.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it kind of depends on the situation. And one of the things I find interesting is oftentimes, like with a child in an abduction, if they have maybe at a familial abduction or something, and they know what the phone is, they can get data really quickly and start to get information and track. So it's just kind of a mixed bag on how quickly they can get the subpoena in, get it approved, and then how quickly the agency, whether that's AT&T, Verizon, or whatever, can respond back with the data.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find. Excuse me. Is it smoky in Utah? It absolutely is.
Terrible, Lucy Pearl Tops. We're all across the country paying the price of these horrible fires in California. And I don't know if you ever get a chance, just look up the fire map and see all the fires that are raging in real time. It's pretty frightening right now.
Yeah. Well, folks, we're wrapping up here. It looks like questions are wrapping up a little bit as well. We will, like we said, go live tomorrow with Adventures with Purpose. Regal, thank you so much for becoming a member. Appreciate you being here and participating tonight. We'll be going live with Adventures with Purpose throughout the day, probably with Heavy D, the Diesel brother Dave, and others throughout the day. And then we'll try to go live tomorrow night on this stuff again. I'm sure there's lots going on.
Please subscribe, folks. We love having you as part of the family, and to all those who have supported us from day one. It's just so gratifying. Thanks a lot, and have a great evening. Thanks, Skylar.
Yeah, see ya.